So, for those who know me or have been going on our Facebook page and watching my movie suggestions, you'll come to know that I really love movies. When I would go home on Saturdays from the seminary, I would just plant myself on the sofa, after, of course, talking with my parents, and watch movies. And I would be often watching them over again, second or a third time, just because I would pick up something new that I had not realized in the first movie, some detail that really opened up the movie's meaning for me. And also, when I watch movies, I will watch them on my own or kind of, if I'm watching with a group, kind of off the side, because, a little secret, I can often get a little bit emotional in the movie when watching it. In particular, there are scenes like War of the Worlds or other movies that stick out in my mind where there's a child whose parents have died who's just wandering, crying in the streets because he or she is all alone. That feeling of being helpless, powerless, it just really hits me to my core. So as we read in scriptures today, especially in the gospel in this time of Easter, I can imagine the apostles in their upper room, again, locked for fear of the Jews. We have something in common there. We are locked away because of fear in our own rooms. There's a sense they're watching the movie of the Last Supper in their hearts. They're going back again to hear the words of Jesus, because in this pivotal moment before our Lord goes to the ultimate crisis, which is the cross, he gives them some parting words. So they go back and watch it again in their hearts. And in today's reading from the 14th chapter of John, we hear that line, "I will not leave you orphans." I will not leave you orphans. And he says that to you and to me today. And it's a powerful word, orphans, because in the Jewish context, orphan was worthless. It could do nothing. It was powerless. It was helpless. Which is why the prophets often condemned those who abandoned the widows and the orphans, because they were the ones that were most in need. And so God is reminding his people, the apostles, and in fact all of us, that because of our baptism we are truly no longer orphans. That we're no longer powerless because we receive God's Spirit, his own divine life. We're not helpless because we have an advocate to intercede for us with the Father. And now we are no longer worthless because we have become children of God and heirs with Christ. Yes, we are no longer orphans. And because of that fact of our baptism, which you and I have to go back over and over again to realize, that fact that because of our baptism, you and I are no longer orphans. So, as we are in our upper rooms and getting ready for whatever this new normal is, I pray that it's no longer an old normal. Just as the apostles left their upper rooms emboldened and enlivened by the Spirit and transformed and went forth, so you and I must take this time in our upper rooms to just receive the Spirit, receive whatever God the Father through his Son Jesus wants us to have, so that we can go forth into this new normal transformed. And I would suggest during this time in your upper rooms 3 things to prepare for the new normal. First is remember. The devil hates a good memory, because if we remember all that God has given us, We know for a fact that God is with us, and with him, nothing is impossible. So John 13 through 17, Jesus' last in the upper room. And instead of thinking of it just being to the apostles, hear the message of Jesus as if he is saying it to you, because he is saying it to you. So remember what God has done for you. Remember the message he's speaking to you. The second, after remembering, is sanctify. We hear in the first letter of Peter today, sanctify the Lord in your heart. That means make space so that the Lord is first and foremost in your heart. Because when you go forth from your upper room, it can't be the old normal where Jesus is just one among many things that you were foremost in your heart, and from him all things find their proper place. So use this time to think of anything that's not within Jesus' grasp, and see if Jesus is not the first and foremost, and make him so during this time. And finally, after you remember and after you sanctify your hearts, then get ready to go forth. And enlivened by that message, prepare to spread the good news. Prepare to share your faith as Peter exhorted the disciples, and again in our second reading. With confidence, give a reason for why you are a Christian, for why you love as Christ does. Remember, sanctify, and then go forth and spread that good news. Empowered by the fact that you are not orphans and that you are not alone, because God is your Father, Jesus is your brother, and they have given you the Spirit to go forth without fear, to love and draw others closer to him.